In this video, I want to go ahead and do the exercise Simple Shapes 1. And on screen, I have put two things. I have the PDF file, which is the assignment, and then I also have the Vectorworks window. So let's just go ahead and begin. So in the instructions on our PDF here, it says use the text tool to enter your name, right? And so the text tool is directly below the pointer. It's this thing that has a T. It should be fairly similar to any word processing thing that you have worked on before. And if I zoom in a little bit, it says name and your name here. If I just were to click on that, I can highlight that as an object. And if I double click on it, you'll see that I get a cursor in here. And all I'm going to do is I double clicked on it. I'm going to swipe across that, and I'm just going to enter my name, right? Todd W. Right? And now at this point, I just click on my pointer. If I press enter, it's going to give me another line below that, which is what I don't want. So just to keep it just as my name, just come back and select the pointer, and there's my name. Now, as we look across to what our next assignment is, we need to draw a circle with the center at -2, 2 with a radius of 1 inch. Let's come back over here to our Vectorworks drawing, and we can see that we have the same grid pattern in our Vectorworks drawing that I've provided. And here is 2, and here is -2. So we're going to want the center of our circle to be at 2, -2. And you'll see that Vectorworks is helping me. It's saying that if that's the end point of that line and the end point of this line, as I come over, right, that point, that green, and do you see how it's given me these helpful guidelines to work with? That's going to be where I want to put my circle. So I select my circle tool, right, and I come back over to where those guidelines are, and I click for the center of my circle, and now I just need to move it out until I have a radius of 1 inch. And there's a couple of ways that I can do that. You can see that the little blue box is now telling me the length of that radius line is 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, and 1 inch. I can also do another smart setting by coming down to this end point, and you see how it gives me that guideline at 1 inch, and I simply click there, right? And that's my circle. Now, it also asks me to use my attribute palette, so I'm going to click on my pointer. My circle is selected, and now I want to give it a line weight of 0.7. That's done from our attributes palette. I come over and I click my attributes palette. I come down to 0.7, and now my line is thicker. So that completes our first one. Let's go ahead and go over here. It says draw a 2-inch square with the lower left-hand corner at 1, 1, and then use the attributes to change it to blue. Great. So we'll come over to Vectorworks, and I am going to just pan over a little bit so that it's more centered. I'm going to choose my rectangle tool. I'm going to align to this point and this point, and you'll see it gives me the guidelines. And now I want to come up, and you can again see that I have that delta X and delta Y, each at 1.5 inches, and I can just keep going up until they say 2. Click, and you'll see that your fill color is in white. To change that, we go to our class, right, to our fill, just select this color, and just grab your favorite blue. Let's see if that's the blue. That's not the same blue, but it's fine. You can pick any blue that you want, right? So let's proceed down to our next one, right? And it says draw a rectangle, right? And use the attributes to change that fill to yellow. Let's zoom in down here at the bottom. From my PDF, I can see I'm at -1 and -2 is where this corner is. So my rectangle tool is still selected. I'm going to go, I think I have to click on that, right? I can find the end point at -1, and then I can find this other point at -2, and I get those smart guides. and I'm going to come out, and where do I need to go? I need to go to -3 on both of them. So I go to this minus point and that minus point, and you'll see how it gives you those smart guides. There is my rectangle, and I'll change the color to yellow, and that's the second one, right? So now our next one gets a little more complex, and we're going to have to do this with lines. Here, let me zoom my PDF over here so we can see what's going on. Let's start with our line tool, and I'm going to zoom into Vectorworks a little bit, and it looks like my very first point is at 1, -1, and that line needs to go straight down to -3. So let's go a line from here to here. There's my smart points, and I'm going to go down, and I want to go down to -3, so I go to here. This is great. So now I need a straight line across the bottom that goes over to 2.5. I'll select my line tool again, and I'll go from across to -2.5. There we go. Now we'll do the vertical line, and it goes up to -1.5. Let's do a line. We go up to -1.5, and now I click to complete that line. Now my next one comes down to 2, -2 to make this diagonal. So I'm going to go from this point, there's my 2, my -2, and when I come back I get the smart points. I have that, and now all I have to do is connect the dots. And that is my last shape. So that's it for this first page.